Hello, welcome to the channel that aims to bring some light to games left in the dark. This is From the Void. Hello everybody, back again with another list of 10 obscure or forgotten Mario characters. This will conclude the top 20 list I began several months ago. Check that first video out for the remaining 10 characters. In this one I will be focusing on my favorite 10 characters that are either very obscure or largely forgotten by Nintendo and fans. And let me tell you, there are some real deep cuts here with a lot of lesser known Mario trivia, so let's just jump right in. We shall begin with one of the most obscure Mario games ever, Wrecking Crew 98. This is a sequel to the far more well-known Wrecking Crew from 1984 on the arcade and 1985 on the NES. It's a rather fun, although cryptic, despite being simple, even if inspired, but rather unpolished little match 3 puzzle game in perpetual versus mode that Nintendo never bothered to localize because it came out in Japan 1 month short of 2 years after the Nintendo 64 was already out. So we missed out on a handful of Mario characters that were never seen outside of this game until more recently in 2017 fans released the first fan translation for Wrecking Crew 98. Seriously, God bless fan translators. This one was made by Shadow1333. Shout out. So we can now appreciate this game in impeccable English and get to know some of these very unusual characters. One of them is middle-aged man Oyazi. So this here is the first interaction we have with Oyazi, okay? And right off the bat, what is that? That's a bottle of booze. That's a bottle of sake or whatever high alcoholic content liquor. And our friend Oyazi gives several indications that he is currently under the influence, okay? Look, he's waving the bottle around. He's now sitting on the floor crying, then he gets up, but check out this little animation here. He leans on the bottle of booze to get up, and now his skin has taken a reddish tone, which, you know, is a common depiction for a drunk character. So, okay, we established that he is drunk, alright? We established that there is a drunk person in a Mario game, which is already pretty cool. But you may be wondering why, right? Why is he drunk and crying, sitting on the floor? Because he wanted to be a carpenter and build warm houses for the nice people. And instead, he's stuck as a construction worker making cold buildings for corporations. So what we're seeing here is a man going through midlife crisis and dealing with it by getting drunk and then playing some weird Wrecking Crew puzzle game with a total stranger. If Oyazi defeats you on a match, he'll give you some valuable advice based on what he's going through.
The world is a harsh place.
The world is a harsh place. The world is a harsh place. Deal with it.
And if he loses, he sits down and cries some more. But then he cheers up, like you knocked him back to his senses, and now has a newfound resolution in life to go after his dreams and start building warm houses from now on. So there we go. If this is not the most grounded, real and relatable character in the Mario universe, I don't know who is. Oyazi, 10th place. Wario's Woods. The game where for the first time Toad was the protagonist, but his name was not in the title. There are two main versions of Wario's Woods. one on the NES and another on the SNES. Both released at the same time in 1994, and they are sufficiently different from each other that one could argue that they are different games. For instance, in the NES version you can't pick up diamonds and move them around, which makes this version a bit more difficult. But the major difference is in the game modes. The SNES version has the versus computer mode that introduced a ton of NPCs to us. One of them is Aqualea. Let's take a look at this very uneven interaction between Toad and Aqualea. Happy-go-lucky Toad is all kinds of friendly, while Aqualea is already very pissed off, and she's like,
I see you have come to learn my brilliant strategies. You are overconfident, my friend.
When the conversation was over, I swear I was half expecting her to punch him in the face. Then the match takes place. Toad beats the crap out of her, she turns into a fish 3 times, she holds her head like it's falling off or she has a toothache or something, and that's what most people will know of Aqualea. But let's go a little deeper for no reason. When she wins the match, the conversation changes, and this is when things get serious. First, now both of them are pissed off, and now I fully expect punches to be thrown around. Toad is even holding his little fists up. Things are escalating. Then Aqualea flaunts.
Everyone tells me I'm irresistible.
Damn.
I'm irresistible. Irresistible. Irresistible.
Shut up, I'ma slap you!
Yeah, you must have lost on purpose so that we could meet again.
You are dead!
Now, the NES version of this game has boss fights that are not featured in the SNES version. These boss stages are very chaotic and a nice addition to the rounds mode. Every 10 stages or so will be topped by a new boss fight. But none of these look anything like any of the NPCs in the SNES version, except the mermaid. Oh, is this Aqualea? Looking at the artwork in the NES manual, the answer is no. This is mad. I believe they are the same person, but I don't have anything else to back that on, so let's just leave this here as a mere curiosity. Anyway, Aqualea gets the 9th place. Next up is one of my favorite Paper Mario characters of all time, Lakilester the Great. By the way, this music is Lakilester's theme in the game, and the track's name is Lakilester the Great, so it's not just me saying this. The game's developers also think so. This guy has a lot going on for him. Firstly, he's a Lakitu, okay? One of the best Mario enemies out there, hands down. They are Cloud Riders, man, think about it, Cloud Riders. How awesome is it to be able to ride on a cloud? Also, they somehow have infinite numbers of spinies to throw, you know, whatever that's worth. They also come in many varieties. Some of them are fisherman, some are freaking cameraman, some tell you you're going the wrong way in Mario Kart. There are Lakitus riding on gold clouds, dark clouds, darker clouds. This one is pretty cool actually. Even darker clouds, no clouds, ghost clouds, glam clouds, space clouds, buzz clouds, you name it. They are a very diverse species. Secondly, Lakilester ditches the bad guy's army because he wants to do bigger and more important things and realizes that they are just using him. So he instead joins the Mario team. Yeah, not your typical Lackey here. Thirdly, although coming off as a tryhard, always wanting to sound cool, it's revealed that he does all this to impress Lucky Lulu here, as he's in love with her. I mean, who can blame him, right? She's just lovely with her pink cloud and all that. Fourthly, he looks great. And lastly, once he joins your team, you can ride along on his cloud, passing over obstacles and going faster. So yeah, best party member ever. Lakilester, number 8. Now for another deeply obscure Wrecking Crew 98 exclusive character, creepy little girl, Onnanoko. She is for sure one of the most obscure characters in the Mario universe, and that's basically for 3 reasons. First, Wrecking Crew 98 was a Japan-only game. It was fan-translated in 2017, almost 20 years after the game's release, so I bet not a whole lot of people were still eagerly awaiting for this fan translation. Second is that unfortunately Wrecking Crew 98 is a bit too complicated for its own good, which makes it a frustrating game in the beginning. You can manually add rows of blocks on your side, you hit blocks to reveal panels. Even though this is a match 3 game, you need to match 4 or 5 to cause damage to the opponent, as matching 3 does jack shit. Each colored block has a different effect, with the red and green blocks being just a waste of time, while causing the right kind of damage to the opponent is all that matters, as this is a get your opponent's side to fill up type of puzzle game rather than a clear your side before they do one. So until you figure out those things for yourself, the game is all kinds of frustrating. And third, Onnanoko is one of the secret characters in Wrecking Crew 98. You can, and most will, finish the game without ever seeing any of the several hidden characters, since the requirements to unlocking them are kinda brutal. Now, before I explain why Onnanoko deserves a spot on the list, I need to tell you the story of Wrecking Crew 98. It's a wild one. Here's what happens. Mario went away on vacation, and when he gets back, he finds that Bowser has been raising buildings all over the place. They call them secret bases, but how secret can they be? They're skyscrapers, for crying out loud. Now, from my perspective, it seems that Bowser is for once doing something positive here. He finally chose a field of work for himself. He's now in the construction business. What is wrong with that, right? Better than going around scheming how to kidnap some woman he's obsessed with, that's for sure. So what does Mario have against this? Well, it so happens that one of these buildings is casting a big shadow over Mario's place. Yeah, that's his motive to antagonize Bowser this time around. A shadow over his house. He comes up with this lame excuse that because of all of the structures, the flowers around the island are dying due to lack of sunlight. But that's ridiculous. Bowser is building only 9 edifices here. That's not enough to kill all plant life in this island, come on. It is just an excuse that Mario came up with to justify that he is pissed off about the shadow over his place. And what is Mario's solution to all this? To demolish each and every one of Bowser's buildings. I mean, what? Talk about an overreaction. The nerve on this Mario too. And for a shadow? Mario's the bad guy here, that's clear. But before doing so, he'll have to beat one of Bowser's goons guarding each structure. However, in one of those, instead of a Bowser lackey, Mario finds little girl Onnanoko. She greets him by saying,
I've been here alone for so long.
And then, holy shit, she's a ghost.
There's no one here to play with. I feel so lonely. Would you play with me, mister?
Little girl ghosts in Mario, and she wants to play. By play, she means the damn gameplay of Wrecking Crew 98, and she's very good at it, and you're not. When you lose, she just invites you to play with her again whenever. But when you finally beat her, holy shit, she's now an angel. You see, this building was keeping her trapped in the mortal realm in ghost form. When Mario implodes the damn thing, she's released and ascends to heaven.
Thank you for wrecking this building. It's time to go, mister.
Yeah, by the way, once again, we are responsible for releasing the immortal soul of a character from the shackles that are imprisoning them in the Mario universe. Check out part 1 of this series if you haven't yet to find out about the other time this happened. So yeah, Onnanoko's story made a very unexpected turn here, and for that, she deserves the 7th place on the list. Hey, if you've been enjoying the list so far, consider subscribing to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, maybe ring that bell for all notices, as the channel will start growing from now on, as I'll be including reviews of lesser known games. Seriously, great things to come. Okay, back to the video. Next on the list, this freak show here. This is Valentina. This woman is absolutely crazy. Besides the fact that she is a former royal court member who ploys to usurp the crown of the Kingdom of Nimbus Land, birthplace of Mallow in Super Mario RPG, by locking away its king and queen inside their own palace and convincing the citizens that they are both very sick, as well as firing a bunch of the former palace staff and therefore becoming the acting ruler. Besides that absolutely villainous and genius ploy, she wears a bird for a hat. I mean, seriously, who came up with this idea? Why does she wear a bird on her head? Does she have hair beneath it? Is the bird dead or alive? I don't know, but it's all very messed up either way. Alongside her bodyguard Dodo, another great character by the way, she's one of the final opponents in the gift to humanity that is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Also, she got some nerve, this woman. She manages to convince the citizens of Nimbus Land that Dodo, the giant fat bird, is the long-lost Prince Mallow, and they buy it. Apparently, Nimbus Landers are very stupid. Then she makes Dodo propose to her in front of the stupid citizens, and once they get married, she would legally be the queen of Nimbus Land. She is a complete psychopath, but a very endearing one, weirdly. She also makes 2 final appearances after her plan is foiled. If you revisit Booster Tower and climb all the way up to the roof, you can see through the peephole that the 2 of them are in a kind of a dating situation, I guess. Although Booster doesn't look to be much into it, maybe he doesn't like her hat. And finally, in one of the scenes in the ending sequence, the unlikely couple is on the altar, ready to get married. But once again, Booster is having second thoughts. So there we have it. Valentina is a very funny and crazy character in the Mario universe. And I miss really deranged villains like this in Mario games. I really do. I mean, Bowser is great and all, but there needs to be more main antagonists, and Valentina is among the best ones for sure. So number 6 for Valentina. One of the best things about Mario games from over a decade ago was that they were allowed to create characters freely. Now it's clearly something they are avoiding at all costs, and I really do not understand why. Just look at this scene from the original Paper Mario. We are inside Peach's castle with a lot of toads around. For no particular reason, several of them are unique. We get this elderly green toad with a scarf and cool sideburns. Next to him is a blue toad with spectacles and a red ponytail. Where is it even coming from? Crying out loud. Then on the other side here, we have these 2 female toads chatting. Even the guard toad looks unique. Not a single one of them are particularly important NPCs. They don't carry the story forward in any way, they don't even have names I don't think, but their uniqueness makes the world of Paper Mario feel inhabited, rich, and ultimately more believable. Nowadays, this is what we get. Unspecific red toad here, unspecific yellow toad there, unspecific blue toad, unspecific, unspecific, all over the place. It's just sad. I mean, at least through their speech, they convey a lot of different personalities, so they're not all the way generic. But still, why? Why this direction, Miyamoto? Anyway, where I'm getting at is that at least in the past we used to get some great unique characters both in look and personality, even in the smallest of Mario games. That's the case with Mario Party Advance. This is a single-player focused Mario Party game where you move around Shroom City and solve quests for its many inhabitants. Some of them are rather unique, such as Mushbert here, who looks pretty awesome. But even better than him, in my opinion, is Shroomlock. Cue his music, please. Yeah, pretty awesome track for Shroomlock. Take a look at Shroomlock. He oozes personality, oozes it. Look at those overalls. Look at that face. Those squinted eyes and oddly shaped mouth. that conveys the seriousness and fatigue of a more mature, seasoned character. To my recollection, he's the only Toad that has a square-shaped face as well. Also, for little to no reason, they also throw in Mrs. Shroomlock in the game. She is the town's gossip, by the way. None of this would ever pass Miyamoto's approval nowadays. Anyway, Shroomlock is a detective, as you probably already guessed from the not very creative mix of the words mushroom and Sherlock for his name and the magnifying glass he carries around. And he is simply the best part of this entire game. Granted, Mario Party Advance is not a very good one, but the bits with Shroomlock certainly are. Every time someone reports a crime, Shroomlock will be there representing Toad Yard to solve the case. And he's pretty good at it. He will always catch the culprit lying or contradicting themselves, like when Paratroopa here says that he saw some coins shining in the bank robbery, but how could him? It was pitch black. Or by process of elimination, if someone was pulled into the water, it must have been the squid as the others don't have any arms. He even catches Bowser, contradicting himself about the museum robbery. But what pushed him over to greatness for me was during the Thwomp bag of coins robbery. Thwomp calls the police reporting that 40 gold coins from his bag were stolen. Shroomlock then analyzes the room and finds no traces of a break-in. When asking the victim, he says that he was away from the house when the crime happened, and that's when Shroomlock figures it out. Previously, while analyzing the room, he noticed that Thwomp had grown too big for his own door. He could never have left the house, so this crime never even happened. Thwomp was only desperate for attention cause he has no friends. And after that, not only does Shroomlock not arrest Thwomp for this false crime allegation, but also becomes Thwomp's friend, thus solving the issue entirely. Seriously, what a great guy, right? The world needs more Shroomlocks, you know? Hear that, Mr. Miyamoto? The world needs more Shroomlocks. Do not continue to deny us that for no reason whatsoever, please. Anyway, Shroomlock gets the 5th place. As I said in a previous entry, one of the things that the Mario universe needs the most, in my opinion, is to have more main antagonists. Again, I love Bowser, but he can't be the only one antagonizing over and over. And on that note, a great replacement for Bowser that could and should be used once again at least, but Nintendo and fans seem to have completely forgotten about, is the mighty Midbus. This guy is one of the main villains in Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, which is a great RPG, one of my favorites in the series. The first time I saw him, I was surprised that he has the same build and other physical characteristics as Bowser, such as his horns and his spiked shell. And what a great idea, right? Midbus is not only a villain to Mario & Luigi, but also a rival to Bowser. He even takes over Bowser's castle and most of his minions. Personality-wise, Midbus is just a half-wit brute who talks in a caveman manner, but in a very funny way. Throughout the game, he spats some jewels, such as
I scoff at you. You bluff. It is time. The special weapon of Lord Fawful. I will release it. Super Ultra Under Ultimate Ruthless Great Iron Ball. Yeah! He is trash, and you trash. I call you trash. Go be trashy in this trash hole with this trash robot forever.
And his best line when accused of not making sense:
sense is for the weak.
Yes, brilliant. But what made him a lot cooler as a character for me, and I mean that both figuratively and literally, was his powered up transformation form, Blizzard Midbus. Now he wears a crown, his power band is spiky, making him even more like Bowser, and his shell is now covered in thick fur for winter, the winter that he creates from his nostrils. This version of Midbus is even more of a rival to Bowser, as the icy powers go right against Bowser's fire inclination. Anyway, Midbus is just great. What a great villain design, what a cool color scheme in both forms. He fits right into the Mario universe in my opinion. I mean, we need more Midbus in Mario games. So he gets the 4th place on the list. Did you know that there is a third character that has their WA version, which has been completely forgotten? What? WA version, dude? Like Wario and Waluigi. Those are WA versions of Mario and Luigi. There is another important character in the Mario universe that also has a opposite version of themselves. Before I reveal who that is, let me explain this WA business cause it's kinda interesting. The first WA character was Wario, introduced in Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. His entire name is a pun in Japanese that doesn't really translate to other languages. You see, by just reversing the M to a W, which also connotates that Wario is the opposite version of Mario, you get a word similar to the Japanese term warui, which means bad. This works even better with Waluigi, which is pronounced Waruigi in Japanese. So who is the third character with a bad version of himself? Is it Toad? No. Is it Donkey Kong? No. Is it Peach, Daisy, Pauline, Rosalina? No, of course not. Is it Bowser? No, that doesn't even make sense. It's Yoshi. Yeah, in Super Mario RPG we got to see Yoshi's WA version. He goes by the name Boshi. You might be saying, no way, that's not the WA version of Yoshi, that's just another Yoshi. His name doesn't even start with WA. Yes, it does, in Japanese. There, he is known as Washi. I guess they changed it to be a little bit more clear to Western audiences that this is a bad Yoshi. Anywho, Boshi is awesome. Just look at him. It's like a punk Yoshi with sunglasses and a spiked collar. You race against him if you bring him cookies, a reference to the game Yoshi's Cookies, in a rhythm-based gameplay which my younger self failed to comprehend. Now, if it were just for the aforementioned reasons, Boshi would not have gotten such a high spot on the list. There is yet another factor on his favor, a very cool and obscure one. This has to do with one of the enemies in the final part of the game, and that would be Bahamut. This is of course an adaptation of the most iconic enemy and summon in all of Final Fantasy into the Mario universe. In this game, Bahamut has a few affiliations to the Yoshi species. Not only do they share some physical similarities, especially in the nose area, but also in Japanese, the creature's name is not Bahamut, but Doshi, in a mix of the words dragon and Yoshi. Now, why am I telling you this, right? What does this have to do with Boshi? Well, it just so happens that data miners found an unused sprite of a Bahamut variant in the Super Mario RPG code, and here it is. Yeah, that's freaking goddamn Dragon Boshi. It has Boshi's collars and his signature pointy sunglasses. There's no mistaking it. I wonder at what point would we have run across Dragon Boshi in Super Mario RPG. It would have been awesome. Unfortunately, they scrapped it, but imagine how cool it would be if they brought him back and made a dragon transformation for him. But sadly, we never got to see this guy ever again, so he became largely forgotten after all these years. Boshi seriously deserves a comeback. Come on. Even if the dragon thing is not included, imagine like a standard Mario game, 2D or 3D, whatever, where instead of Mario, Luigi and Yoshi, we play as Wario, Waluigi and Boshi. Come on. And throw in some WA princess there too, why not? And maybe even a good version of Bowser to defeat, whatever. Done. Best game ever. But in the meanwhile, he gets the third place on the list. Next up, yet another great villain that deserves to be used more often, and this time it's a female antagonist, which is a rare occasion in the Mario universe, so even more reason for Nintendo to use her awesome potential. Talking about the great leader of the Black Sugar Gang, Captain Syrup. She is a greatly designed character introduced in the first Wario Land, which is actually Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land, even though Mario is nowhere to be seen because logic, get them suckers to buy a Mario game without Mario. She is introduced as a rival to Wario, a role that continues in Wario Land 2, but it escalates there a lot. The two develop a very unhealthy competition. You see, as a pirate, Syrup is also focused on getting treasure, so it's only natural that she goes after the biggest treasure hoarder around, Wario. One day, while Wario is sleeping, Syrup and her gang storm his castle and run off with several of his treasures. Let me tell you right now that she will certainly regret this decision a lot. He gets furious and chases after them. What unfolds next is just a sequence of vengeance scenarios. Wario Land 2 has several different routes leading to several different outcomes, but it usually resumes to how and when Wario catches up with Syrup. In the more regular outcomes, he finds her, she tries to beat him in battle using some type of gadget or something, but he wins and slams her into the stratosphere. In other cases, he actually saves her from the clutches of another enemy, but only to knock her away all the same and claim his treasure back. You see this scene a lot. I kinda started feeling bad for Syrup, kind of like in Pokemon, you know? At some point, I just started rooting for Jesse and James after seeing this scene enough. If you manage to overcome the very weird and very hard real final stage in Wario Land 2, Wario actually goes full on revenge mode, invades her secret base and steals her treasure. Then in Wario Land Shake It, where we see her in a fully realized design that just looks splendid, this game has outstanding visuals by the way, Syrup comes up with a complex scheme where she sends one of Merelda's Murphles. These little guys here are called Murphles, okay, not making this up. If you want some more info on Merelda and the Shake the Mansion, check part 1 of this series. And this guy convinces Wario to save the land of Shake the Mansion from the villain Shake King. Wario complies upon hearing that the place is full of treasure, of course, being the greedy plumber that he is. By the way, are Wario and Waluigi plumbers as well? I mean, they wear the same outfits as Mario and Luigi, so maybe yes? But then again, maybe not, because Nintendo now denies that Mario and Luigi are plumbers to begin with. But then again, maybe yes, because in 3D World, which is a recent game, we see them both fixing this pipe here, and that's a hell of a plumber job right there. So maybe it's just a hobby for them now, I guess, who knows. But I seriously digress. So off goes Wario into the Shake the Mansion in search of treasure. There he finds Syrup, who aids him by selling useful items, which also serves her well to make a few bucks on the side. In the end, Wario defeats the Shake King and uncovers the ultimate treasure, the bottomless coin sack. He claims it eagerly, of course. However, that was Syrup's plan all along, as on the final scene of the game, she steals the treasure and keeps it to herself, presumably forever, since this was her last actual appearance, as of yet, in any game. So there we have it, the one that had the last laugh in this intense rivalry between the greediest characters in the Mario universe. Second place to Captain Syrup. And now, the champion, my all-time favorite obscure Mario character, and it's a blast from the past. We all know that Mario and Luigi are plumbers. Even though Nintendo changed this statement, we don't care, they are plumbers, alright? But not many know or remember that they once worked as construction workers in the NES title Wrecking Crew, as I already talked about in a previous entry. Now that I think of it, this is probably the origin of Mario with a hammer, as we've seen many times in Mario RPG titles. Anyway, in Wrecking Crew, the objective is to destroy walls, pillars, ladders and such, while figuring out the best route to do it in and avoiding the enemies. In some levels, a character will appear and try to hinder Mario's progress, and that is none other than Foreman Spike. What amazes me about this guy is that he's not an enemy, per se. You see, coming in contact with him will not result in Mario's defeat, as happens with the actual enemies in the game. He is a rival, he aims to compete, he's in your way, playing by the same rules. Whatever he can do to you, you can also do back to him. He knocks you down by destroying objects in front of you, and you can do the same to him. In either case, none of the two are defeated, just knocked to a floor below. But when that happens, you can get trapped in an unescapable floor or below an oil drum, which are also the only ways you can permanently get rid of him for that stage. He is competing with Mario to see who does a better job. In the bonus stages, he will try to find the coin faster than Mario. He is there really as another character. They could have used Luigi as the AI and no one would have cared. In fact, in the versus mode of this game, the second player will control Luigi, not Foreman Spike. So they deliberately created this guy to be Mario's rival, and that begs for a lot of questions. Why the rivalry? What happened in the past between Mario and Spike? Who is him really? We don't have any of those answers. But it's pretty cool to think that in terms of rivals, Foreman Spike was the first one. Later came Wario, while Donkey Kong and Bowser are more villains than rivals. Spike was the first, and he knows it. He returns in the sequel, Wrecking Crew 98, 14 years later, with no beard, and greets Mario with,
Yo, I waited so long. Remember me? Don't you dare say you don't. It's a me, your original rival, back for vengeance.
And then proceeds to spin his hammer madly. See? He knows he's the original rival. If you actually beat him under 2 minutes, he finishes by telling the super secret base location, where you'll find Oyazi. If you beat Oyazi along with all the other secret characters, and then beat Bowser once more, you unlock the true ending, where it is revealed that the true mastermind behind the whole story here was not Bowser, but Foreman Spike himself. He convinces Bowser to do this whole operation as he knows that Mario would try to stop them, and that way he would get to be his rival once again. How sad is that? He is hurt that he's been forgotten. And what does heartless Nintendo do after acknowledging to have forgotten Spike for so long? Proceed to forget him once again. Well, not completely, thankfully. He made one more very small appearance after Wrecking Crew 98. It happened in another absolutely obscure Japan-only game called Mobile Golf from 2001, which despite the name is a Mario Golf title, where several Mario characters make appearances such as Mario, Peach, Yoshi, and Foreman Spike. This is a Game Boy Color game, so we can't really make much of the very limited character sprite they gave for Spike, but his score animations are kinda cool. He goes back to having a bushy beard, he's now way bigger than in 1998, and if we consider the promotional artwork for this game, that's when we see exactly how big. These are 3 very different pixel count character sprites, but it seems to me that he has been getting more and more buffed between each appearance, you know? It's like he's preparing for something, right? Yeah, I really hope he makes a grand comeback one day to finally consolidate his rightful place as the true rival to Mario. He has inexcusably not been used to his great potential so far. Nintendo once again just sitting on gold. Anyway, there we have it, number 1. The great Foreman Spike. If you want to see even more details about Foreman Spike, check out the Foreman Spike retrospective. I'll be putting the link for that in the description. And with that, we conclude the top 20 best obscure or forgotten Mario characters. Hope this was entertaining to you. Again, check part 1 if you haven't yet. Apologies for the quality discrepancy between the 2 videos, as the former one was one of my first videos ever. I thank all your support, especially if you decide to subscribe, which is really appreciated since the channel needs to grow to become more sustainable. Consider doing so, as I will be improving the channel going forward. I just got my very first review copy of a game, so you can look forward for reviews on the channel soon. So click that bell too and don't miss out on any upcoming uploads. In any case, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you soon.